Your dog walks over and licks your hand. At first, it's kind of sweet. You smile. Maybe you laugh. But then they keep going. One lick, then another, then another. You pull your hand away, and somehow you turn your face. And now they're trying to lick that too. If you live with a dog, you've probably had that moment. Almost too normal to think about. But after a while you start to wonder, why this? Why so often? Why does my dog keep doing this? Is it love? Is it excitement? Is it just one of those random dog things? Maybe, but not always. Because licking is one of those behaviors that looks simple, right up until you slow down and actually watch it. And when you do, you realize something important. Your dog may be saying very different things, with the exact same behavior. That's what makes this so easy to miss. A lick can look like a lick, and if you don't know what to look for, it all blends together, but it's not all the same. Sometimes it's affection, sometimes it's attention seeking, sometimes your dog is just investigating you, sometimes they're trying to calm themselves down, and sometimes they're not trying to get anything at all. They're just staying connected to you. That's the part that changes how you see it. So let's walk through the 5 real reasons this happens. 1. Sometimes it really is affection. Let's start with the one most people think of first. Sometimes your dog licks you because they're being affectionate. And honestly, that idea isn't wrong. This starts early, really early. When puppies are tiny, their mother licks them all the time, to clean them, to soothe them, to care for them, to bond with them. So for dogs, licking is tied to closeness from the very beginning. That pattern doesn't just disappear when they grow up. It stays with them, which means when your dog runs up to you and licks your hand or your face, especially after you've been gone, that may be their version of warm, familiar contact. Not random, not meaningless, just a very natural way of saying, "You matter to me." You can usually feel the difference in these moments. Your dog's body is loose, their tail is wagging, there's softness in the interaction. The licking isn't frantic, it's not intense, it's more like repeated little check-ins. And that's what makes it meaningful. They're not always asking for something. Sometimes they're simply expressing connection. So yes, sometimes your dog licks you because they love you. But even that is more interesting than people think. Because to a dog, affection often shows up through instinctive physical rituals like this. And licking is one of them. 2. Sometimes they want your attention. Now this one happens a lot in everyday life. You're doing something, looking at your phone, watching TV, trying to work. Your dog walks over and gives your hand a quick lick. You ignore it. A few seconds later, another lick, then another. And eventually, you react, you look at them, you talk to them, you move, you engage, and from your dog's point of view, that interaction worked. They may not think, "I will now use a strategic attention-seeking behavior," but they absolutely notice, when I do this, my person responds, and once a behavior gets results, it tends to come back. That's how habits form. Not because your dog is manipulative, not because they're trying to be annoying, just because the pattern makes sense to them. You'll often see this when your attention has been elsewhere for a while. The licking is almost like a gentle tap on the shoulder. Hey, and once you see it that way, it feels less random. It's your dog reaching back toward you. 3. Sometimes you're just interesting. This third reason is a lot less emotional, but it matters just as much. Sometimes your dog licks you because you taste interesting. That sounds funny. But for a dog, it makes perfect sense. Dogs don't experience the world the way we do. They don't rely mainly on sight the way humans tend to. They use smell, they use proximity. And yes, sometimes they use taste. Your skin carries information. Sweat, salt, food traces, scents from outside, clues from where you've been. And to your dog, all of that is data. So maybe you just came in from outside. Maybe you worked out. Maybe you were cooking. Maybe you handled food without thinking about it. And your dog comes over and starts licking with real focus. That may not be affection at all. That may be curiosity, investigation, exploration. In a way, it's not that different from a person touching a fabric or leaning closer to smell something unfamiliar. Dogs just do that through their mouths more often than we do. And because your scent changes constantly, you're always giving off new information. To your dog, you're not static. You're changing all the time, which means there's always something new to read. 4. Sometimes they're trying to calm themselves. This is the one people often miss, because it doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes your dog licks you because licking helps them regulate. In other words, it helps them calm down. Dogs, like people, can fall back on repetitive behaviors when they feel unsettled. Not every repetitive behavior means something is deeply wrong, but it can mean the dog is trying to steady themselves. And licking is a common way to do that. You may notice it when something feels a little off, a loud noise, a weird environment, a tense moment, a change in routine, something unfamiliar in the room. Your dog comes closer and starts licking. Usually the energy feels different here, less joyful, less social, more repetitive, more inward. That difference matters, because this kind of licking isn't really about exploring you, and it isn't always about communicating with you either. It may be your dog using a familiar action to help their body settle, and if they choose to do that near you, that tells you something too. You feel safe to them. That doesn't mean every lick is stress, but in the right context, it absolutely can be self-soothing. And once you notice that pattern, you start responding with more understanding. 5. Sometimes it's just quiet connection, and this last one may be the most meaningful of all, because sometimes your dog licks you, and there's no obvious reason. They don't seem excited. They're not asking for anything. You don't smell like food. Nothing stressful is happening. You're just there. Maybe sitting on the couch, maybe working, maybe doing almost nothing at all. And your dog comes over, sits near you, and licks your hand slowly. No urgency, no pushiness, no agenda. Just presence. Because in social animals, not every act has to be functional in the obvious sense. Some behaviors exist to maintain the relationship itself, to reinforce closeness, trust, belonging, and licking can be part of that. Not a request, not a demand, not an emergency, just a small act that says, I'm here with you. That's what makes these quiet moments so powerful. Your dog doesn't need to do it. There's no clear reward waiting, but they choose to. Out of the whole room, out of everything they could be doing, they move toward you. And that choice says a lot. It says you're not just part of the background. You're part of their emotional life. You're a place they return to. And sometimes that's all the lick is. A little moment of bond maintenance. A soft signal. A quiet kind of closeness. Closing. So when your dog licks you, it's usually not just one simple thing. Sometimes it's affection. Sometimes they're investigating the world through your skin and scent. Other times, they're trying to soothe themselves, and you happen to be the safest place to do that. And sometimes, in the quietest moments, they're just staying connected to you. That's why this behavior matters, because once you stop treating it like random background behavior, you start noticing the meaning inside it. Your dog isn't just licking, they're communicating. Maybe softly, maybe subtly, but still communicating. And once you start seeing that, the whole relationship shifts a little. You notice more, you understand more, you respond differently. And that changes the connection. Because every lick has context. Every moment has a feeling behind it. And your dog has probably been telling you these things all along, without words, just through action. So the next time your dog licks you, don't just brush it off. Pause for a second. Look at the moment. Look at their body. Look at what was happening right before it. Because the message is probably there. And once you learn to read it, you don't just understand the behavior better. You understand your dog better. If you want to keep learning what your dog is really trying to tell you, subscribe and stay with this channel. Because once you start seeing their behavior clearly, everything changes. And the bond you build with your dog gets stronger, deeper, and a whole lot more meaningful.